One of the things that prompted me to reach out to you was one of your newest projects, the video that you did on the roof of the house, and you were doing all of these other things. Sort of walk everybody through the process of being creative. Where did the idea come from, and what did it take to execute it?
A little backstory. It was actually my sister and brother-in-law's house, and they told me, "You ultimate creative freedom." I was like, "Awesome!" So the next month or two, I was jotting down ideas. So that's kind of where that started, was ultimate creative freedom. So I wanted to do something kind of wacky. There's Facebook pages called like Zillow Gone Wild, where very normal house, and there's like maybe like one room that's like, hold on, what's going on here? Or there's like just something that is happening in the background. So what happens with those listings is they artificially get boosted up, and the algorithm, people see it a lot. The more eyes on it, the more it gets shared, more people that might go see the house, more potential offers. So that was kind of the initial idea behind wanting to do something a little bit kind of weird and crazy. So earlier in the year, I had like a gorilla costume for another project that I was doing that totally not real estate related. But I was like, okay, here's the plan. I want to have like the gorilla costume kind of in the background. I don't know if you noticed it. I only wanted to be like 10-50% of people actually notice it. But there was like gorilla hidden in the background of a lot of the photos and in the video. That way people kind of like stop, hold it, wait a second, what was that? Send it to people and all that stuff. That was kind of the plan. So I was trying to think of ways to incorporate that into the listing, and had like 4 or 5 different things that I did that I had a lot of fun with. And I was like, oh, there's a pool, I could jump in the pool, like this will be fun. There's a pickleball court, there's so many things that I want to highlight, but you can highlight it in a creative, fun way. So that's kind of what I did. Yeah, I randomly had the idea of sitting on a beach chair on top of the roof to like close out the video, because I thought it'd be a fun, outro where the camera zooms out to the neighborhood. Couldn't tell you exactly how those ideas pop up. I just enjoy doing that kind of stuff.
Welcome back to Time Tested Mastery Life Lessons Sell. Today's episode is a little more personal for me because my guest today is Michael Janzer, and Michael is my nephew. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't a family favor episode. We know how tough the real estate business is. Michael has built a real estate business in a competitive market, and he's doing it in a way I respect. Calm, relationship-based, and focused on helping clients move through the process with less stress. Michael is a real estate agent with Compass in the Denver area. He grew up in Colorado, moved away for a season, and came back, making Denver home again in 2017. Outside of real estate, he's a family man, husband to Lauren, dad to Isaac and Eloise, and he's usually got an active lifestyle going: swimming, workouts, pickleball, and time outdoors. Today, I want to unpack Michael's real story, where he came from, what his education and early life looked like, how real estate even entered the picture, what it was like to start from scratch, and what his daily schedule looked like back in those early days. We're going to talk about the challenges and doubts that showed up in the moment, if there was one, when he realized, okay, this career can work for me. And then we'll talk about what his business looks like today and what's changed, what stayed the same, and what he's building next. So Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on here. I remember talking a little bit about when you were getting into the real estate business back when you started, but we'll get in that to a little bit later. What I'd like for you to share with people today is a little bit of your backstory, because I know from, like most people, you weren't growing up with the intention of getting into the real estate business. So tell everybody what you were doing prior to making the decision to get into the business.
Yeah, so I got out of college. I did 4 years out in Kansas, met my wife, and I was sort of pursuing a career in like criminal justice, and got through, came to Denver, and ended up getting a job in a youth treatment facility. Decided I didn't really want to go to the criminal justice route, but still wanted to work with people and kind of help them live fulfilling lives. Worked there for a couple of years while me and my wife were kind of shoveling money onto our student loans, my student loans specifically. And throughout, because we wanted to have kids, but we wanted to pay off all our debt first. That was a big thing for us. And as time got closer to the debt being paid off, Lauren, my wife, always wanted to be stay-at-home mom. So I was like, well, this isn't going to cut it on what I was making at the treatment center. So the last like 6 months or so, I was really kind of researching jobs that I could, do that I would also enjoy because I'm really big on making sure I enjoy what I do. Uh, Sales kind of popped up there where it was like, hey, you can make a good living and still kind of enjoy it. It's kind of a fun thing. So then I was looking into all sorts of types of sales, and real estate just kind of stuck out to me a little bit. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon real estate.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because most of the people that I talk to, at least when they're growing up, they were not thinking about real estate whatsoever, and you were not doing that either.
No,
But
not at all.
did you have any influences or outside suggestions that made it specifically real estate versus some other type of sales?
Not really. I can't even remember how I landed on real estate. I did a lot of research on just all sorts of industries, and I think real estate just specifically gave me kind of like a, hey, like come over, this might be interesting. There's just lots of different ways you can do it, and there's lots of different avenues you can go down. So I liked the flexibility of it, and I like having a flexible lifestyle. So I think that's kind of what attracted me to it.
Yeah, interesting. And that, we are taught, when we're getting into real estate, I mean, there's two promises. One promise is that you can earn unlimited income and you can have unlimited freedom. The problem is you can't have both of them at the same time.
No.
That's the rub. So in order for Lauren to be a stay-at-home mom and make a career change that would be able to finance that, you got into real estate. What was the process like for you getting started?
I didn't tell a whole lot of people initially, because I was kind of like, hey, if I start this and I realize I don't like doing it, I don't want to really, I mean, really, it was like, I don't want to come off as a failure. I also like, oh, what was he doing? All that kind of stuff. So I didn't really tell a lot of people. I did the courses online while I was still working, my other job. In Colorado, we need like 100, I think it's like 168 hours. So it's a little bit higher than some of the other states. So it took me like 3.5 months or so to do it part time. And I would just kind of, every now and then hop on, do some courses. And then as I was learning about it, I actually was really interested in the stuff I was learning, which was very not like college. Like in college, it was like, these subjects not so interesting. But some of these things are like, oh, like this. Now everything's are starting to click when I like see the signs on the road, like the real estate stuff. And I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. So I really started to find it interesting. Um, so that was kind of how that process worked, and then ended up taking my test, passing it the first time, and yeah, never used really any of that knowledge ever again. So
Yeah. So, and that's really important for people to hear when they are studying for their test. Most of the people I talk to, I mean, they're studying, they want to get an A, they want to ace the test. They get really stressed out about all of this information that they're learning. And then the reality is they get their license. And at least for me, I'm going to speak for myself, I didn't have a clue as to what I needed to do in order to really make money in the real estate business. I mean, I had no clue what to do. What was when you said I never did any of that stuff again? What was it like when you first started? What actually happened?
well, I mean, and I know every state's a little different, but what we learned here in Colorado was basically how not to get sued, how to do everything legally, which is very important. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't really explain to you the importance of how to get clients and like how actually difficult that is. Just because it's really what the business is trying to figure out how to get clients, maintain clients. The legal stuff and the all the contracts and that stuff is 5-10% of what it actually is. Uh, but yeah, so that's kind of that part. So starting out, it was kind of like, what am I doing? I was kind of running around with my head cut off
Yeah.
initially.
Okay. Well, I know when I first started, I went into an office and basically they said, your desk is over there. There's a phone on your desk. I'll see it at the sales meeting on Friday. That was what my broker said when I first started after he hired me. And, my training, and this is 40 years ago, was all of the people around me, what they were doing. I mean, that was my training ground. How did you start? What was the training like when you started?
It was a little bit more in depth. We took a class called Ninja Selling. I don't know if you're familiar.
I have not heard of that.
It's kind of like a relationship based approach to the business, and it's like, hey, just stay really connected, and kind of figure out people's pain points and how you can solve them. When you're never actually really selling real estate, you're really just building relationships. And if you're able to, help them with a problem they might have, then bam, you're there. Just staying like top of mind. This guy up in Fort Collins, like kind of created this. It's like a national thing, but the guy in Fort Collins started it. So went up, took his class in person. I started during like the COVID like shutdown era. So everything was also a little bit different when I started too, because you couldn't just go show houses. You had to schedule appointments, wear masks, be 6 feet apart. It was just kind of weird at the time. But without knowing any other way, it was just what I knew.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first big thing of training I'd say I did was just take that class and just really learn how to pinpoint people's pain points in their everyday lives and figure out how I could solve those.
Yeah. And I think that's great that you took a sales class, or you took some sales training when you first started, because I think a lot of people get into real estate and they think it's basically showing homes and you put a sign up and somebody calls, but they really don't know that real estate is a sales business. The legal stuff is important, but that's the easiest part of it. The easiest part of it is to get the law part of it right. The harder part is dealing with the different personalities and the different needs and the scheduling. Most people don't realize how difficult it is to be a real estate agent. We can be the errand person, we can be the counselor with the finance counselor, all types of things. So you said ninja selling was the course that you went through.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually at the time my brokerage required everybody to take it because our brokerage at the time was very relationship focused and we weren't, we weren't salesy, which was also a big thing that when I got into it, I was like, I don't want to be, a used car sales. I don't want to be cold calling like crazy. I don't want to be doing any of that if I have to. It's just not for me. My wife and I were both on the same page when it came to that, and luckily didn't ever have to do that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So when you started, what did your daily schedule look like and what challenges did the business present for you? Actually, if you started during COVID, it was probably pretty busy when you first started, I would think.
No, well, I wish I could say it was. It was actually very. I didn't know what to do. Basically, it was, because ninja selling is very much, hey, go out, make relationships, but we couldn't really do that because everyone was like, forced to stay at home, so you couldn't really go out. And so my daily schedule didn't have a whole lot of structure. The first 6 to 9 months was very like up in the air, and I look back and I'm like, man, I wasted so much time, so much stuff I could have been doing. But the first 6 to 9 months was like, "Ah, you know, what am I doing? Trying to figure stuff out. Um, yeah, I wouldn't say I had much of a routine. Kind of did a few things here and there, but nothing concrete.
So it sounds like you were experimenting, trying to find something that would work. I mean, is what it sort of sounds like to me. Who was guiding you when you first started?
So we had a team, and we were pretty much all brand new agents at the time. Um, my managing broker at the time had brought on, I think, seven or eight of us, or maybe I think it was like 6 or 7. A very small team. Um, so and she really did a great job. It was more me not really capitalizing on everything that they were giving us. Just because I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make calls. I don't want to do this. All that stuff that's really important. But because we weren't like in the office, it was hard to kind of keep people accountable. So it's easy for us to just not necessarily do a whole lot of stuff. So that's kind of where that angle was. But I knew if I just kept in it, I'd eventually figure it out. Because that's how every job I've ever had has been. I always get into it thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm way in over my head. What's going on?" And eventually, I've always figured everything out. So I was like, let me just keep going. Don't give up, and I'll figure it out eventually.
Okay. Okay. So, a couple of questions, that come to mind. One I like to ask is, what was your first sale like? That's one, and the second would be is at what point early on in your career did you realize that I've had success, I've had repeated success. Now I know that I can do this. I know this is for me. Was there a magic moment that you said, this happened and I know this is something that I can do?
I definitely thought I had multiple of them. Because like I think like 6 to 9 months in, I had like one deal. And then towards the end of that year, I had like 2 to 3 deals kind of all like stack up at the same time. And I was like, oh, okay, got this. Like it was, just like a hot period. And I was like, oh, I got this. I'm good. And then those happened, and then all of a sudden, dead. I was like, crap. I was like, what's going on? Uh, so I thought that was like my little shining bulb moment. And then kind of like a year from there, things picked up again, and I just kept growing and growing. But then it eventually got to a point where it was like fairly consistent throughout the year. And I wouldn't say there was ever like an instant moment where I was like, this is gonna work out. Just after, I'd say after about 3 years, I was like, yeah, okay, this is, I really like doing this, and I'm good where I'm at. I'm comfortable, and I know I can do this long term. So
Yeah. Looking back, can you think of maybe two or three milestones where there was a challenge that was happening in your business where you finally found a breakthrough on that one, and then another one? I mean, because to me, the path of learning in the real estate business, is it's almost like a series of events and different challenges that we have. For example, I started out in the beginning, like most people, working with buyers, and then I was told that working with sellers was the way to really build a business. And so I started working on trying to get listings, and I didn't have a reputation, didn't have a lot of experience. Then I found my niche doing expired listings, and so that's where my career took off, when I started working on that particular skill. So sort of, what was the path of events that sort of built and then coming up to where you're at now?
so a while back, I want to say this was probably 2021 maybe. Um, I got on a program called Zillow Flex, which some people might be familiar of, but basically they kind of live transfer you, and you meet these random people, and you know you try and transact with them. If you do, you pay Zillow a nice big lump sum of money. I definitely found my stride in that, partially because I'm really good at just like meeting random people. Now at least I am. And like I usually can connect with people really well. I'm very like go with the flow. And I feel like I don't put off very like pushy vibes. So people are typically
Right.
comfortable around me when they're first starting off, because obviously like it's a very emotional process. Lots of money involved. There's so much going on. You don't really understand what's going on. So usually I was able to put people at ease. And then on top of that, because I had all these things coming in, I kind of had to figure out a system to organize my daily schedule. So that's kind of when my daily schedule really formed, and kind of helped my business kind of grow, in a
Mm,
sense that I didn't really think it would, just because I had to organize myself because I had so much going on.
okay. And so, how is your daily schedule different today, say, versus when you were on the Flex program? And I'm familiar with the Zillow Flex program because my team was on it for a year back in 2023, I believe. So, what was your schedule like then versus what it is today?
I've been off the program for a couple of years now. They ended up changing some of their metrics, and like a whole lot of stuff with some Zillow lending that I wasn't comfortable with, and I was like, hey, it kicked me off. It's whatever. So it's been a few years since then, but I'm pretty sure I just had like a hot and warm list of people to call, all that stuff, and I had write a date next to their name last time I checked in with them, and then notes next to them, hey, not looking till, I don't know, February of next year, basically. That way I'm not like bothering them when I don't need to, and also they don't slip through the cracks, because that happens a lot. uh, and then just like staying on top of the people that I need to stay on top of, was kind of the big thing. Start my day just kind of like opening that up and say, hey, who do I need to reach out to? What kind of stuff do I need to do? Do I need to send some home, stuff like that? uh, and that was kind of like the basic framework of that. Nowadays my schedule little bit looser, I'd say, because I before I go in the office, I make sure I go to the gym, work out, and then kind of on the way, I'll do some gratitudes and affirmations in the car. Just because the big thing of Larry Kendall's ninja selling thing is like mindset. Like, yeah, you have to be in like a good mindset. If you're in like a scarcity mindset, then you're going to be trying to push people into something that they're not comfortable with, because you're just trying to earn, commission. It's like, nope, that's not what we're here to do. That's the wrong way to do business. So if you're in a scarcity mindset, then you're going to be making decisions for people that aren't necessarily the best decision. So if you give yourself a mindset of abundance, then you can be a lot more helpful to your clients.
Yeah.
So I do that, get to the office, and then I'll usually just make a checklist every day of things I need to do, and then I have like a calendar of the month's events, like months showing any sort of thing on my schedule will be on there. So I check that, make sure I have nothing that day, and then I'll just make a checklist of things I want to do that day, uh, and that's kind of that.
Yeah, so you definitely have a plan and a routine. That is awesome. And so it sounds like you're 100% comfortable with the routine that you have today.
Yeah, and I mean, you can always, I that's actually one of the things I want to improve on this year, specifically is even like dialing it in even better because I think you can always get it better. There's always lost time, and you can always be more efficient. So that's one of the things I want to get better this year. But yeah, I'm very happy with where that is all at right now.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I've been in the real estate industry for 40 years, and I mean, it is my life. I mean, the California Association of Realtors, probably 20 years ago had this advertising campaign. It said "Real estate is our life" was their campaign, and I don't know that that's good. That work is your life all of the time, but real estate was the vehicle that funded my life, and I learned the things that you mentioned. Taking care of yourself with exercise, the positive affirmations, having a good mindset, knowing that if your head is not in the right place, that it's really hard to be there for your clients if you're not in the right place of service with them. If you're all balled up in something, and that will prevent you from being successful. So it sounds like all of those things have come together for you. When you say you like to tighten it up, is there any particular area that you're looking at that you think is a direction that you're heading?
Not specifically. I just sometimes I find myself goofing off and not doing what I need to be doing sometimes. So just like, tighten that up a little bit. That way I can get home a little bit earlier and spend more time with the family. It's just because at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about, right? Is the family and, providing for them. So what's the point of all of it if you can't enjoy it? So, yeah.
Absolutely. So this is sort of going a little bit different direction. Are you using AI or CRM tools that have AI embedded in it? Because you're a young guy and more in tune with a lot of the tech stuff than some of the old dogs like myself, are there tools that you're using now in order to save time and be more efficient?
Yeah, I use AI a lot. And I couldn't even tell you where I start with it. I mean, I use it for pretty much everything. More ideas, I guess. I'll be on the way to work and I'll have this idea of, you know, certain listing stuff and I'll just, hey, come up with a script for, this, and this. This kind of like some basic framework for it. It'll spit me out ideas and sometimes I don't use them, sometimes I don't like them. Uh, and I do that. You can create social media, a calendar of posts for a month, and it's like, oh, so much easier. Use it for listing descriptions. That's one of my weak spots is I am terrible at writing listing descriptions for houses because I'm always like, yeah, I don't know, like 3 beds, four, whatever. So I'll do that. I'll throw it back and forth like 10 times to where it finally comes out nice. Um, but yeah, I use AI plenty. Uh, and my CRM does have AI involved, but I don't use that too much at the moment. It's kind of evolving. Compass has their own platform that they're constantly updating it, and AI is kind of a newer aspect of that. So I wouldn't say in a great spot right now for them, but they're working on it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's happening is that the AI that I'm involved with or that I'm seeing is that, I mean, it is evolving so quickly. There's almost an unlimited ability to use it to be creative in different ways. The most important thing that I've learned is that it basically is the best assistant that you could possibly have because you can train it to think like you can train it to talk like you or write like you. And it has all of the ability to, if you have a creative idea, like you were talking about, is that, hey, I'd like to come up with this script, it'll give you ideas that you can implement into your business. So I find it pretty powerful
Yeah,
myself. And I think a lot of people are, I don't know that they're using it like Google just to ask questions to it, but I know that it is really revolutionizing the ability to be efficient. And it
yeah.
sounds like you've taken that into, are you using it for email writing, business plans, listing? What kind of things are you creating with it?
Stuff for videos. I don't like using it in emails because AI definitely sounds not like me at all, and I have a very like go with the flow. Like when people read my emails, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like it's him on the other end of that email." Because sometimes I just go like this, and I'll talk about something for a while, and I'll go into the stats, and I just go kind of wild. And I think AI would be more like rigid and be like, "Eh, yeah, I don't know." It doesn't really sound like Michael. So I don't use it for that specifically, but mostly just for like creative. It's more for me to brainstorm than anything. Just because like the content that I'll make will be mostly my ideas, but it'll be like, hey, what kind of content should I make? How long should I make these videos to maximize your views to ratio, like your search optimization, just kind of like all that like analytical stuff. I like to use it for.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Yeah. One of the projects that I'm working on right now is trying to create my own personal algorithm for pricing property in the marketplace that I've been working in, that I'm the broker for the company in Big Bear Lake, because I know how to rate houses. I know what a 10 view is. I know what a 1 view is. I know what a 5 view is. I know what easy access is. That would be a 10 for easy access, and what nasty access would be. And so I'm trying to create my own algorithm using AI to where I can put the comparables in and say, here's the, 10 or 15 different criteria rated on a scale of 1 to 10. And can you help take these particular comparables and give me an accurate value when you take all of those things into consideration? So that's something that I'm working on.
I know I have somebody in my office that has been hitting social media pretty hard, and he will go and ask like AI, hey, how do I make myself more searchable on Google? It'll be like, hey, you got to start blogging. Even if no one reads your blogs, like the Google algorithm will notice your blogs, and then when people ask AI to recommend, other agents in the area, your name is more likely to pop up. So he has all these things going on as far as the background that no one probably even really looks at. But in general, like the algorithm will then boost his name up in the whole, internet kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's using that for that. And I know he has it's like a AI software in place that if someone reaches out to him through direct message, it'll automatically start chatting with them. So it's not necessarily like creating an algorithm for him, but he's using AI in that sense.
Yeah. Awesome. Thinking back, because you've been in the business now 5 years, right?
Coming up on 6, actually.
Coming up on 6. Okay. So I would imagine that you have, from time to time, people that, are thinking about getting into the business. What's the best advice you would give for somebody that is entering the business? What should they do if they want to be successful?
You got to jump in all in. Like, but obviously not everyone has the ability to do that. Uh, but like, hey, if you can, save up 6 months worth of expenses, and be able to give it 100%, uh, you're way more likely to become successful in it than if you try and do it part time. Because I know a lot of people that, oh, I'll just get it part time and I'll see if I can do it. But the statistics don't lie. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was like 92% of people that don't jump all in quit real fast. And it's like give yourself an actual fighting chance, uh, and go all in if you can. Just save up a little money just to live off of for the next 6 months. Obviously, I had my wife, which was super helpful, in a way, because at the same time it was like if I wasn't sure where my next meal was coming from, maybe I would have worked a little bit harder. But I had that support in place already. We didn't have any
Yeah.
debt. We were just, coasting, and I had plenty of time to kind of figure it out. So jump all in if you can, and don't start part time. I think that's kind of a big mistake.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. That's good advice. So thinking forward, Michael, do you have any strong goals that you've put in place? Do you want to start your own team? Do you want to run a company someday? What is driving you today?
No to both those questions. The team I actually started on initially, we all moved over at the same time, to Compass. We've always stayed together. Our team is very like no drama. We're always helping each other out, like with showings, with whatever we need. Super supportive, and I really like being part of like a team like that. So I have no interest in starting my own thing down the road, just because I want to stay with they're like my family. So
Yeah.
we have fun together, and I just couldn't imagine going anywhere else. So I don't imagine doing that. As far as like future goals, I have recently done like a gotten a little more creative with my marketing, and I want to kind of build on that and kind of almost make it my personal brand to be just like a little bit wild with how I market stuff. I had a lot of fun doing it and had really good results with it. So that's the plan going forward, and hopefully I can build a nice business off of that.
Well, and I like that you shared that because one of the things that prompted me to reach out to you was one of your newest projects, which was the video that you did where you were on the roof of the house and you were doing all of these other things. Sort of walk everybody through the process of being creative. Why did you do something that was that creative, and where did the idea come from, and what did it take to execute it?
So a little backstory. It was actually my sister and brother-in-law's house. And they told me this was probably like last July or something like that. They're like, "Hey, and you ultimate creative freedom." I was like, "Awesome!" Like, so the next like month or two, I kind of was like jotting down ideas, and I don't know if you noticed. I'll get to that in a little bit. But so that's kind of where that started, was ultimate creative freedom. Um, so I wanted to do something kind of wacky, and I noticed that there's Facebook pages called like Zillow Gone Wild, where very normal house, and there's like maybe like one room that's like, hold on, what's going on here? Or there's like just something that is happening in the background. But what happens with those listings is they, artificially get boosted up, and the algorithm, people see it a lot. The more eyes on it, the more it gets shared, more people that might go see the house, more potential offers. So that was kind of the initial idea behind wanting to do something a little bit kind of weird and crazy. So earlier in the year, I had like a gorilla costume for another project that I was doing that totally not real estate related. But I was like, okay, here's the plan. I want to have like the gorilla costume kind of in the background. I don't know if you noticed it. I only wanted to be like 10-50% of people actually notice it. But there was a gorilla hidden in the background of a lot of the photos and in the video. That way people kind of like stop, hold it, wait a second, what was that? Send it to people and all that stuff. That was kind of the plan. So I was trying to think of ways to incorporate that into the listing, and had like 4 or 5 different things that I did that I had a lot of fun with. And I was like, oh, there's a pool. I could jump in the pool. Like, this will be fun. There's a pickleball court. There's so many things that, I want to highlight, but you can highlight it in a creative, fun way. So that's kind of what I did. And actually, I didn't even ask him about going on the roof because didn't want them to say no. I'd be like, I'd rather ask for forgiveness. And I was like, I got insurance in case if I get hurt, they don't have to worry about I'm fine. There was that, and I randomly had the idea of sitting on a beach chair on top of the roof to like close out the video because I thought it'd be a fun, outro where the camera zooms out to the neighborhoods. Just I couldn't tell you exactly how those ideas pop up. I just enjoy doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting. My mentor that I worked with for years, he said, Mark, we're going to try stuff. Not all of it's going to work, but we're going to keep trying stuff. And that was really an outstanding video that you did. I mean, I don't know what other kind of comments that you got from it, but I know you got a comment from me right away when I saw it. So congratulations on that. So as we wrap up, share, again, with everybody listening today, where your market is and how they can reach you.
Denver metro area for the most part. I occasionally travel a little bit more north and south if I need to, but mainly the Denver metro area. You can email me, michael.janzer@compass.com, or text me 719-650-6107.
Well, I loved the interview today with you. I wish you all the best in the future, and I will make sure that all of your contact info is in the show notes so that anybody reaching out or that needs to reach out will be able to find you. So thanks so much for being on today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
What I hope people take away from this is simple. Success in real estate isn't reserved for the loudest person, the most aggressive person, or the person with the flashiest marketing. You can build this business with consistency, relationships, and calm professionalism. If you're willing to do the work, learn the craft, and stay in the game long enough for momentum to compound. If you're listening and you got value from today, do 3 things. Subscribe to Time Tested Mastery Life Lessons Sell. Share this episode with one newer agent who needs hope and a real example. And if you want help building a business with discipline and emotional control, reach out to me. I run time-tested mastermind workshops, and in 90 minutes we'll solve one real roadblock and give you an action plan you can implement immediately.